Hey everybody, welcome to Black Golf Entertainment. I'm happy today we have Mr. Wyatt Worthington II, PGA professional, here to talk about golf, give us his story, let us know what's going on. Hopefully some insight to you folks out there, what it takes to be a PGA professional. So we'll go ahead and get started, Wyatt, man.
It's Black Golf Entertainment. You're on the tee with Black Golf Entertainment.
First and foremost, thank you in advance for inviting me and having this chat.
Today, pro golfer Wyatt Worthington II chats with Tony Mark's co-founder Malcolm Dennis on how he got his start in the game and how a special golf lesson at a young age had an impact on his life and his career.
Well, just to get started, if you want to tell folks a little bit about your background, maybe where you grew up and maybe how you got into golf a little bit.
I can give you the elevator speech, if you will. Sure. So long story short, from Columbus, Ohio, I grew up in the first tee of Columbus program. So I'm the first tee kid. How I kind of went on this pursuit of being a career, I got a lesson from Tiger Woods when I was young. And this is in Tiger's heyday, right? So back in 2001, and getting a lesson from Tiger in his heyday. It's kind of like, touching, Michael Jordan, winning all the championships. It's Ali not going to, right? Yeah. You're at Mount Everest, right? Especially, a little black kid that didn't know much about golf in the sense, and seeing what golf can bring to the table. I knew this is, something I always wanted to do and pursue. And once I got a taste of it, I couldn't, not get rid of it. I went to a PGM program in North Carolina, and that's where I got a 2-for-1 special. So I got my business degree first and foremost, and I got my Class A card. So that's anyone that you notice that's in the golf industry, right? When it comes to being a head professional, general manager, assistant golf professional, golf instructor, teaching professional, you name it, anything, the umbrella in the golf industry, that's kind of what I got.
That's called a Class A, you said? Class A professional?
Class A. Yep, Class A professional. And that pretty much gives you the credentials and the, certification of like, okay, this guy knows his stuff. He can get you to wherever it is he's trying to go. So pretty much, in hindsight, groomed you into a sense of being the best golf professional that you want to be. So once I got my Class A professional in North Carolina, I pretty much got in the system. Being an assistant, working 70 hours plus in the shop, and it was a wake up call, right? Because I came from a background of being, definitely not boasting or bragging by any means, but I came from the background of being a decent golfer, right? Some would say better than most. I'll leave that for the whole, everyone else to decide. But nonetheless, I came from a playing background, and this was a little different, right? This was being around golf all the time, but I couldn't play it. And it was something that I wanted, it didn't really resonate with my passion and what I wanted to do dear to my heart, because I think anyone who gets into the golf industry and anyone who picks up the game of golf, to some shape, form, or fashion, they want to play at the best level they can, right? You don't get into, like when a kid's picking up basketball, they have dreams and aspirations of playing in the NBA. They don't, most likely you don't have dreams of coaching, right? NBA basketball team. And that was always one of my passions. And, I enjoyed the experiences, the relationships that I had in the golf industry. But like I said, it didn't really align with, what I'm really, truly passionate about, which is playing on the PGA Tour. So like I said, long story short, I was also, through being in the PGA professional, I was one of two African Americans to ever play into the PGA Championship, going through that route. And the person, when I did it, I believe it was 25 years before me, right? So this is the numbers are out. The numbers are unbelievable if you just look at the data.
That's a big gap of time right there.
There's a huge gap. Not along with the huge gap, but the huge numbers, right? There's 29,000 PGA professionals in the United States. And actually, let me ask you, just based on, you probably well know this or did your research, but for the masses, out of that 29,000, how many do you think there is when it comes to minorities? Black specifically? Just 29,000 people.
I'm gonna say if there's 100, I think that's a lot.
100. Okay, so you're not even going 1%. We're not even scratching the surface. Okay.
No, honestly, no.
Well, now it's gotten a little bit better. It's 165. Give or take one or two, but still, that's the numbers. The numbers kind of speak for themselves, and it also goes into effect that when you see those numbers, like in the golf industry, right, in that profession, and when you don't see that much representation at the elite level, like there's cause and effect, and there's rhyme and reasons for that. I don't know if that's anything we can discuss or talk about, but nonetheless, like there's reasons why you don't see that much representation of my color out on the PGA Tour. So that would be something I would like to do, and try to break that cycle. And even though I'm one individual, it can spark, one can spark many.
Yeah, and I definitely want to get into that discussion in a little bit.
Okay.
So you told me about how you got into golf. You took a lesson, Tiger Woods. I mean,
right.
That's like Jordan lifting you up to dunk the ball. It's like
exactly.
I can do it, right? Tiger's giving you a lesson. Who else do you want to give you a lesson but that guy, right? I heard the story and a little bit. I forget if it was high school or college where you were going to try out for the team, and you told the coach, "Hey, I just shot the course record," and he said, "Oh, well, you still got to try out tomorrow." Tell me that story.
When I had a pretty decent junior golf career, I played in what these things are called AJGAs, and they're American Junior Golf Association. So what this American Junior Golf Association, this is kind of like the elite juniors of the world. Like a lot of people that are tapped in with golf, you hear things like US Amateur, but these AJGA tournaments are definitely a good way to get exposure and also test your game up to the best in the world, right? Universal, and it definitely carries a lot of weight. And I've been fortunate enough I never won one, but the best I did was tied for second, I believe, and I had a lot of top fives and top 10s, so I was definitely in the mix, right? Nonetheless, so I had a relatively pretty good junior golf career. I've won a decent amount as well too, and so I say that to say this, going into college, I had a pretty good resume where it's like, okay, this kid can golf his ball a little bit. He's not just going to, try to swing it and wish luck and somehow something connects and all the stars align, right? With that being said, I go down to North Carolina, and I try to, introduce myself with the coach, but I think he was in a transition of moving at the time from his new house or whatever the case may be. And so I never really had a proper introduction, right, with that. So rumor has, came about that I'm on campus. I'm a pretty good golfer, and, my reputation, if you will, kind of speaks for itself a little bit. And I had to actually try out for tryouts, which was like, I have to try out for tryouts. Wow, that's crazy. And the first day,
try out for tryouts. What does that even mean?
Exactly. So there's obviously, you on a normal stance, like you have to try out for a team. Depending on how well you do, you either make the team or you don't make the team. I had to have an opportunity to try out for the team. Like, let's see if he's even good enough to even try out to make the team. If that kind of makes sense. So by doing so, I tied the course record the first time I seen it. for trying out for the team. And then once I got an opportunity like the normal kids at the regular tryouts, right? Like anywhere else you would have in the United States. Then I made the team by the play that I did. I believe I came in, I don't know, second or close to first, but it was something, you know, it wasn't outside of third place. So I go doing that. Out of that whole entire time that I was in college, I never played one college tournament. But yet you're speaking to someone who's played in a major. So I won't say anything more. I'll just let you connect the dots however you connect them.
Right. So, you know, I understand. Now that you say that, I understand. Because, you know, I want to get the conversation going in that direction. This is North Carolina. You know, I guess what? Late 1990s, early 2000s.
How old
where we at?
No, I'm just saying. This is like around 2000, 2005, 6, right around there. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, you were there. I'm just messing with you.
That's shocking to me that still is what's happening, or that's still what happened. You know, where here you are, you made the team, but you don't play. And now, you're a PGA professional.
And on top of that, not to cut you off, but I was the first African American to ever make that team, which is like.
And they don't play you.
Hey.
like what's going on?
And that would not be the only time that Wyatt made history. Up next, Wyatt chats with Malcolm about making history on the PGA Tour.
Appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. Like I told you before, I saw your story and I said, hey man, we got to get this story out. Folks got to know what's going on. Folks got to know about this guy. It was information to me because I didn't know his story before as well. So once I learned it, I wanted to share with everybody else. And so based on that history, now you're a PGA pro and you make the 2016 PGA Championship. Right?
Walter Straw.
The second African American in how much time?
To ever do it in history. Yep.
Tell me that environment, that whole, and maybe just the PGA in itself, being an African American, you know, you're at the PGA Championship, but just, you know, with the PGA itself being an African American playing on that tour, being part of that tour. Tell me some of that.
Yeah. So it's crazy in that like little old me, I was the second one to ever do it, right? And shout out to Tom Woodard to be the first, because you know he definitely deserves his roses right now, first and foremost. So paying homage for him. But secondly, it actually throws me off because there's a lot of things that was going on behind the scenes that people didn't know. When you just look at the story, you're seeing, you know, the first black kid in 25 years to ever, you know, do something like that. But there was so much like turmoil, you know, like in my section in Ohio that was kind of going on. So there's some hate behind the scenes, right? Which, you know, it is what it is. It comes with the territory, right? If no one's hating you, you're doing something wrong, right?
On our next conversation with pro golfer Wyatt Worthington II, we'll hear more from him on how he made history as the second African American golfer to qualify for the PGA Championship.
So even in itself, it's like, wow, it's big. It's bigger than me. Like for the people that before me didn't have this opportunity to do that's huge, right? Yeah, and on top of that aspect, that when I was saying I saw the bigger picture, there was a demographic that had someone to root and cheer for, and someone they can actually relate to. You know, that even though we're all human, I understand we all put our pants on one leg at a time, but it hits a little different, right? When you have someone that, like I said, when you have a similar background, coming from a similar struggle that we come from, it's just something that you can, you know, cuts a little bit deeper. So once I saw all these, you know, black boys and girls, you know, come up for my autograph, I was like, man, this is what it's really about, right? They come in, bringing the next generation up. The sport in general is like none other like any other sport. Because if you think about it, golf is the most relatable sport than most of other sports. And this game is is amazing. And I would like everyone from all walks of life needs to enjoy the sport. But
ready, set, let's golf.